guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Well, let's start here. It's a blue label. Shocker. But it's an older blue label, as in, like, I do believe this was built by Carl's guys when they were still there. And the reason it makes me believe that is because it's got metal clads in it, directly from you know who, and have not done the Teflon check yet. Teflon, 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 Teflon. I'm going to change this though. I'm going to change this. I'm going to go through this thing top to bottom, side to side, front and back. Has been repilled a couple times, obviously. And just so you all know, you can't do this. There is a certain lot of HG that you can intermix with the Toshiba, but you cannot intermix DEI, even though DEI was kind of come from the same fruit tree that the HG come from. Anything that says DEI on it, no, especially 14.2Q. That's bad. So we're going to pull all the pills out. We're going to put HGs in their spot. We're going to give it the 5-watt resistor upgrade. We're going to give it a power wire upgrade as well. We're going to put a different tuning coil in it. We're going to do a different output capacitance, probably capacitance tube. And then the other thing I want you guys to look at is this here. And what I'm getting at is when the lid's down, here, this will help you guys see it the best. When the lid is down, we've almost got every single orifice from the back of this thing to the front of this thing completely blocked off. Makes no friggin' sense. None whatsoever. So, what I've done is devised a plan. We have to open up our air channel other than over the top of this and around these two sides. And then down the side here. We have to provide a less path of least resistance. Now, on the upside though, this thing has a humongous heatsink in it. And it runs the whole freaking length. And it's blocked off on the inside. But the heatsink runs all the way back to here. So it's a huge piece of heatsink. I mean, you can tell this wasn't built towards the end. You know what I mean? This has got all the right parts in it. It just had bad parts at the heart of it, which is the transistors. So if I go along, I'm pretty sure if I can polish this just right, we'll end up having a really, really good box. And the reason I'm making a big deal out of that is because this is going to be for sale. The guy that owns this amp just wants me to fix it and get rid of it for him. So, you know, he's wanting his little slice of money, and I got to get my little slice of money for the parts and stuff. So we're going to get this thing out the door for pretty freaking cheap. I'm here to tell you. So you guys are going to want to stay tuned. So first things first, let's pull all the transistors out and see what we got. We'll go from there. Okay. So I took and I trimmed off the edge of the board here. I unsoldered this completely. Trimmed off the edge of the board and rounded it back. So I took probably 1.5 inches off the top, a good 1/2 inch on this side, and a good like 1/2 inch on this side, and then I laid the board back. And by doing that, I created a huge pocket for air to move around. So we might be ramping it up and compressing it a little bit, but that opens everything up a great deal. So then I went along and I pulled out all the transistors, I pulled out the output tuning coil, and then I pulled each one of these 150 puff capacitors out and checked them. Because 9 times out of 10 what happens is because of the lack of the airflow through the cabinet, because of this setup here, certain parts start to overheat and they lose their value. And it's these capacitors, these output capacitors on each one of the 2-pill sections. So check those. Those are spot on the money. I went ahead and I took a Q-tip and cleaned out all the pockets. I'm going to wash them out before I put the transistors down. But right now I'm working on redoing the output combiner. It had some very small 2 ohm resistors in there, or 2 watt resistors. And you guys know me, I love my 5s. So I have no idea. I haven't tested the transistors that came out of this thing yet. I have no idea where they're actually testing at. The DEIs I don't give anything crap about, but I got to make sure that those Toshibas are worth something, if anything, or if they're good or if they're blown. We'll do that here in a minute. But pardon the reach. That's a good little spring break we've had. My daughter is away, and me and my wife have managed to sneak out of here every single night and go do something together. It's been freaking wonderful. This last week has just been a lot of fun, living the life of semi-retired adults. I say that tongue-in-cheek because we work an awful lot. But somehow we always manage to just do whatever we want. One of the other things I did was I moved all the power wires. They were all clumped up down. He does this thing where he brings all the wires down to one end, and I spread them out. That way each 2-pill section gets its own 30 amp power supply, assuming that they're all working. We're going to test that here in a little bit too. So we reattach these here. And then let's see, next step, coil. Old, new. Let's tilt this down a little bit. That'll work. So where do I want to put my output tuning tube? I'm thinking right in here. Well, let's see here. Can make it fit. A little bit tight. Yeah, I don't see why I can't. Stick it here. Alright, well, we'll keep it going. I'll probably bring you guys back in about the time I'm ready to put the transistors down. So we'll see you in just a little bit. Well, it's all done, guys. I mean, all we did was, basically rebuild it. Put 6 matched HGs in it. Put upgraded power wires in it. We changed the power distribution around. So now it's spread out instead of clumped together. We modified the board in the front. Redid our input tune, which was only off by 50 puff, which wasn't that bad. Changed the output section completely. I love using these tuning tubes. They got a higher kVA rating than the little tiny disc capacitors. Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but you can dial it in specifically for each particular amplifier. Change the output induction network, or inductor, not induction, inductor network. And it does have a preamp in it. It's got sideband delay, but no sideband. If you want me to add sideband, whoever wants to buy this, just throw an additional $40 on it. I'll put the resistors in here, put an extra relay in here, and we'll bias it up for sideband, full over Class B. Ready to go. That's about it. I mean, really, that's about all I got to say. We are going to sell this thing for $850. So, hit me up, let me know. Let's go ahead and let's give this thing a quick test run. Let me pull the camera off the tripod here real quick. This has to be done. It's got all the right parts in all the right places. Big heat sink. And having the right size heat sink underneath it makes a world of difference. It's got no Chinese capacitors in it. It's got metal clads on it. These metal clads are getting harder and harder to find, but we've got them, and they were in here. So we got metal clads over the output transformers, the original old school Carl built style transformers. Good pill strips in it. The pill strips are still in good condition. Like I said, no Chinesium parts in this thing. They're all made with actual American old school stock. Input and output transformers are got the right number of turns in it. The power supply internally is running at 15.8, and underneath full load it drops to 15.2. So let's go ahead and turn the amp on. See, I'm skipping a step. I'm getting excited. Okay, 1000 watt slug in 1x position in PEP. 1000 watt slug in average, 5 watt slug in reverse, back from the Bird 10,000 watt dummy load. We're going to use a 2950 and the Striker 490. 5 watt slug between the 2950 and the 6 pill. So let's demonstrate to you drive. The radio's on 14 volts. So we're going to tickle it with about 20 watts worth of drive. Turn the amp on. 700 peak watts with 20 watts going in. And about 200 bird. Here's our input tune. It's beautiful, is what that translates out to. Beautiful. So, let's take the 2950 out of the equation. And let's put the Striker 490 in play. So let me grab the 490. So we got our 490, and then we got the 5 watt slug between the 490. That was a fun ride. I proceeded to drop the camera straight on his face. Thank God I didn't break it. Okay, so we're going to put the 490. Let's bring it into play. We'll show the pass-through tune. Nice and low. And how we achieved that was by changing this capacitor here. So we've got a nice, small, short, tight run. I shortened up these leads here in the back coming off the preamp. And about 125, 130 watts worth of drive. We're going to see significantly more power out of this now. Barely even wiggling. So now let's come on over here, guys, and we'll click that up into 2x. So now with the needle all the way over there on the 100 watt or the 100 scale, that's 2,000 watts. And the hash mark between the 40 and the 60, that's 1,000 watts. So every large hash mark after that's an additional 200 watts of power. 14 and some change. 3/10 of a watt of input reflag. The 1400 going out. And you can actually drive this just a little bit harder. But this thing is right. It's got all the big boy parts in it now. And like I said, if you want to add sideband to it, let me know. But this thing is going to go up for sale. It cannot stay here. I don't care where it goes, but it cannot stay here. So on that note, like I said, 850, give me a call. Call this number right here and we'll get you hooked up. Gentlemen, my name is BBI, and without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. Come find me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and right here on the YouTube Gargler. If it's the first time you've ever seen one of my videos, do me a favor, click subscribe. It'll make both of us feel better about ourselves. Then you'll get to follow along with all the crazy shenanigans I do on this channel all the time. It is a Blue Label Xforce, but it is some of the first generation of the Blue Label Xforce where they were still using good heatsink and they were using good parts. I know, because I've tested every single part in here. It's ready to go. And at $850, this thing is a steal. Now that it's certified and tested and demonstrated working, those things mean a lot. Appreciate you guys, and I thank you for all support. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't get to be here without all of you guys. I seriously don't. And I've been saying that for years, and I don't joke about that. I don't get to be here without all of you. Good night, guys. Give me a shout. Send me a text. Call me. We'll get you a new amp. Bump, bump.